It's nice to finally meet you. I am Dr. Virgilio. Nice to meet you. I understand that you're having some anxiety issues, correct? Okay. Anxiety's nothing you ever want to experience, but it's what we all deal with from time to time. Some people more so than others. So before we begin our examination, I have a couple of questions that I would like to ask you, and just fill out some basic information, and we will pass it on to the other doctor that's involved with this setup. It's not just myself, it's my colleague, but I am doing the questionnaire aspect of this, and you will go ahead and meet with her. Okay? So, if you're ready, we will now take part in our little endeavor here. Just a moment while I get my paperwork together. Excuse me. Hope you are doing well today. Okay. Now, this is just a health questionnaire, basic information I need to fill out before I can get to the actual questionnaire section. So it's just going to be basic information like your name, so on. And I'm just going to record all this. I'm going to have a couple of check boxes here that I'm just going to mark off as we go along. And then the following questions will be just basic questions that I believe, or that our organization believes, are important to understanding our patient better. Okay, so there's not that many questions. This should only take about 10 minutes at best. Alright, so your full name, first and last, and if you could spell it out for me, that would be terrific, so I don't make any mistakes. Okay. Now, can you just give me your address? And what's the best telephone number to reach you by, in case we have follow-up questions we would like to ask you? Okay. And what is your date of birth? Okay, so I can safely assume your age based on that. And what company are you working for? I hear they're up and coming these days. And what exactly is your occupation? What's the main title that you are referred to as? Okay, very good. Now, in case of emergencies, who's the best person to reach? And the relation is? Right. And what is her phone number? If you don't know, we can get it another time. Oh, you do know. Okay. Right. And how did you find out about our company, our services? Yes, it's a new method we are trying to reach out to people. It's been quite effective lately. We've been getting a lot of new clients due to this process. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a yes and no questionnaire here. So the font is a little small, so don't mind me for squinting here. Alright, here we go. Have you ever been diagnosed with some kind of a heart condition? Okay. Do you ever feel some kind of a pain in your chest when you're doing an activity? Could be any kind of activity, stressful or not stressful. Okay. In the past month, have you experienced any kind of breathing or obviously chest issues as well? Are you often dizzy or feeling lightheaded in any way? Okay. Do you have any physical ailments like joint issues? Do you have trouble bending over? Or do you have trouble reaching for things and so on? Does your fingers hurt a lot? Or your knees? Or your toes? Okay. Have you been diagnosed with blood pressure, high blood pressure? Obviously everyone has blood pressure, but has it been high? Okay. Are you currently being prescribed any kind of drugs for blood thinners? Do you have a history of diabetes in the family? Or do you currently have diabetes? Okay. Do you suffer from epilepsy? Do you have any sorts of allergies? Okay, and what are these allergies? I don't believe that hating fake people or lazy people is an allergy. I can see why you might be allergic to them, but that's not an allergy. But I get the sense of humor. Okay. Okay, now that's a normal allergy. Okay. Do you have any shortness of breath or asthma? Okay. Do you suffer from any kind of fatigue from activities? Okay. So far, so good. Now, I know in this day and age, everyone can get pregnant, including myself. Have you had any relations or of the sorts to implicate that you could potentially be pregnant, or you know you're pregnant? Okay. Do you know of any reason why you shouldn't do a physical activity in any way? Does it make you uncomfortable? Do you get sick from doing any kind of activity? Or do you just prefer not to do any activity at all? Okay. And why is that? Okay. Now, final question before I get on to the more serious topic. What would you consider your current physical lifestyle like? Are you active, not so active? Do you just sit down like a lump all the time? How would you consider your level? Are you very active, average, or just not at all? Okay. Alright, so I guess that would help me determine your fitness level based on that information. Okay, so serious work here. Right. Now, how anxious of a person are you? Do you get easily anxious about an activity or something that you plan on doing or you think about? Or does everything just kind of roll off your shoulder? Okay. Are you having trouble sleeping? It's usually because of an anxiety level, but oftentimes it's just, you have too much on your mind. You're not anxious, but you're just thinking a lot, and it prevents you from sleeping. Is this familiar in any way? So it generally affects you during the week and not the weekend. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Are you currently in school? Are you working? Are you doing both? Okay. Both is always tough. Okay. Now, are you full-time employee or are you part-time? And do you school part-time as well? So you're part-time for both. Okay. Yeah. Is school or work tough? Are they both tough? Is one tough and the other one's okay? How would you describe your difficulty level? Okay. So you're having no problems with either, you just find them both mildly irritating and annoying. I understand that. Not in this situation. We're having a really great time. This is a blast. Just trying to lighten the mood. Okay. Are you in any kind of debt? Are you not happy with your work hours? So you're not in a lot of debt, but you struggle. Okay. Yeah, money's doesn't grow on trees. Now, do you have any sick or dying relatives? Okay. Are you having trouble with a spouse, or are you struggling to find someone in general? Okay. Yeah, the dating scene is tough these days, especially with the online. That might be equally as stressful as actually meeting someone in person, but everyone thinks differently. Okay. Do you have any chronic illnesses? I know we mentioned briefly some things, but is there anything you'd like to explain? Now, this one's not really medically involved. It's just, how is your opinion on the weather? Now, what I mean by that is, if it's sunny, do you feel happy, or are you still depressed? Does the rain or snow affect your mood in any way? Yes, generally it tends to bother certain people. Some people, they just kind of phase out their feelings towards it. They just kind of accept it and be, okay, it's going to be sunny tomorrow, I'll be fine. Right. Now, have you had any kind of depressive episodes where you'll be upset for a week or more, or for just a day? Anything in relation to that? I think people tend to struggle with depression constantly these days. There's the chemical imbalances that lead to depression, and then there's also the environmental causes for depression. Now, they're pretty self-explanatory, but the environmental one is generally due to a debt, or having trouble with a spouse or work or school, or anything that affects you more on a physical way. And then there's obviously the chemical, which is just an imbalance in your brain that when you're on a certain medication, it helps you out. Okay. Are you having trouble with discrimination with an age, sex, race, or a preference that you may have? Now, this isn't a actual depression question, but it can often lead to a depressive state. So, if you're constantly being affected by one of these issues, it could potentially lead to depression, where you don't want to deal with it and you feel that you can't escape it because of one of these. I've seen that quite a few times, and unfortunately it's playing a larger role in society today. It used to be it was all different time periods. We have where sex was a major one, which it still is today, but there was the women's liberation movement, and a lot of them were getting depressed and tired of being mistreated for their sex and gender. And then there was the time, these are all still present, but there's more prevalent times where race is an issue. Currently with the administration, with people in South America, there's an issue. And now there's also preference, meaning if you are male, but you want to live as a female, or the other way around, people are discriminating them. And there's also age, where older people are not getting equal job opportunities because corporations and businesses prefer to have younger people involved, because not only because it's cheaper for them, but because they're more aware of certain kinds of softwares and so on, and they often lead to depressive states. I know a personal relative of mine who's older, looking for a job, and it's a struggle, and it leads to a depressive state. So that is why that is listed on this form here. Okay. Now, how do you feel about pets? And this is another oddball question, but a lot of times you'll see in the news and so on that having an animal by your side or visiting you on occasion can lead to mood lifting and a slow decline of depression temporarily. And a lot of people are just not fond of them either. So, which do you... Okay. All right. Have you tried any anxiety relief procedures? And what I mean by that is, oftentimes doctors will prescribe you to do something. Okay, now it's not a direct prescription where you go to a store and you pick up something like, oh, I'm going to go pick this up. It's usually try to do more puzzles or do an activity that you enjoy, like climbing or hiking or tennis or something like that. Do you have any of those things going for you right now? Puzzles are a great way to relieve stress, and they're also known to delay disorders such as Alzheimer's or dementia. If you keep your mind focused, you tend to stay more active in the mind, and it slows down the effects of these diseases. Now, final question, which we kind of went over before, but how do you feel about your physical form or abilities? Do you feel you're capable or not capable? And does that lead to any kind of unfortunate feelings? Okay. Now, could you elaborate a little bit on that one? Okay. So you feel like you're in okay shape, but you'd prefer to be in better shape. Alright. That is all the questions I have for you. It was a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And I will now pass you on to my colleague, and I'm just going to ask you to come out with me, and we will bring you to her. Alright? So it was a pleasure. I'm going to take this information and we're going to evaluate it. Alright, so I'm just going to let myself out real quick, and we will move forward from here. Alright?
Hey there. How's it going? Good. It's nice to meet you. I'm Dr. Calming. How's your day today? Yeah? So just looking over some of the questions that you just answered with my colleague. Yeah. Just want to make sure that we're on the same page here before we kind of dive in to a little bit more work towards anxiety relief. Perfect. Now I know that you answered all of these questions with him, but just a brief little description in your own words. How would you describe your personal anxiety? Because everybody's different. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So, just your history. Okay. Okay. So basically with me today is kind of your second part to today's appointment. So we've been working to kind of move towards techniques and ideas that will hopefully help to decrease anxiety levels for people. Yes. And of course, as I said, everybody is very different. So one technique might work for this person, but not for this person or yourself. So today we're really aiming to get a bit of a baseline on your own anxiety levels, as well, and more importantly, some triggers or techniques that may reduce those levels for you. Yes. So I'm going to be taking some vitals throughout your little session with me today, mostly just focusing on your heart rate and your breathing. I just want to see, we're obviously going to do it at the start here to see where you're at, and then we're going to kind of judge and see how some of these triggers may improve your anxiety level. Does that make sense? Yes, when I say triggers, I mean a certain act or sound that has showed improvement in a lot of people's anxiety. Now, there's a vast amount of triggers. I'm just going to be trying out a couple with you today. I definitely want to have the conversation very open between us. So if we're trying something that you don't really care for, or it's making your anxiety worse, please just let me know and we can go ahead and move right along. The goal today is to really try and build this file, you could say, and work towards improving your anxiety on a daily basis. If we can find these techniques or triggers that could potentially help you throughout your day, improve your life overall, then it's definitely a win for us. Do you have any questions for me? Right. So I will also be asking for your rating on how your anxiety is feeling. Does that make sense? And it's kind of like a pain scale, you could say, but I'll basically be asking you to give me a number for where that anxiety level is at. So 1, at a level 1 is going to be really bad anxiety. You're not feeling well whatsoever, okay? And obviously you have all the numbers between, and a 10 is going to be you are feeling fantastic. And this is in your own words as well. Fantastic can mean you're feeling happy, you're feeling calm, you're feeling relaxed. And even the 1 level, you could just be feeling very anxious, tired, just kind of down. So when I ask you for the rating of what your anxiety is kind of feeling like to start and throughout the session, I may ask you for some words as to how you're feeling as well. Just to kind of give us a little bit more to go on, you could say, ways to improve your anxiety. It's very, very specific to each patient's needs. Okay? Okay, good. So, to start, I am going to listen to your heart and your lungs just to get that baseline. So where would you say you're on that scale right now for your anxiety level? I know sometimes the doctor's office can be kind of scary. Okay. And have you been at that level all day today? Okay, let me just make note of that. Okay, so at this level, I'm going to listen to your heart. You can just breathe nice and normal for me. Okay. Your lungs as well. A lot of people struggle with breathing when they're experiencing any sort of panic attack, any form of anxiety level. So just want to make note and see if it improves throughout today's session, or if any specific trigger helps. Okay, I'm also going to get your pulse real quick. Can I have your wrist? Okay. Just make a mark of that. Okay. So, the first trigger that I'm going to try with you is a bit of light tracing. Yes. So this will be a movement in front of your face. Do you have any sort of problem with lights or flashing, anything like that? Okay. You just let me know. So the idea for light tracing, this is my little light here. A lot of people focus on the movement, so they give their brain something to focus on in that aspect, to focus on the movement of the light, just kind of staring into the light. It can be hypnotic for some people. Not too bright, just this warm light here moving can be very soothing to people, okay? Okay, so just you can stare at the light, at my face, the background, whatever works best for you, okay? And it's just gonna be slow movement. Trace with the light. Trace with the light. Light. And is this all right for you? Okay. You just let me know. Circle. Closer and further. This side here. Okay. So let me grab our file there. How would you say that trigger worked for you? Did you enjoy the light tracing? Okay. Good. And thinking, what level would you place your anxiety at? And are there any specific words that you would relate, I'm just going to listen to your heart, that you would relate to your level or feeling right now? just like before, I'm just listening to your heart and your breathing. Okay. And your wrist once more for that pulse. Thank you. Good. Good. Okay. So slight improvements. It's always a wonderful thing. Is there anything else you would like me to note about that trigger or how your anxiety level is right now? Okay. Good. Okay. So moving on to our next trigger, I'm going to do a bit of tapping and page flipping. Okay, so we have this book here, and I will be tapping on it as well as flipping the pages. Okay, let's get started. Yep, for this, if you want to watch the movement, some people enjoy watching fingers tap or the pages flip, or if you're more comfortable, you can close your eyes, just listen to the sounds. Head. Listen to your heart and your breathing once more. And your pulse. Thank you. Okay. How would you say that trigger made you feel in regards to your anxiety level? Okay. Nope, there's no right or wrong answer. Okay. And thinking to the numbers, where would you rate your anxiety level? Okay. Yeah, 1 through 10. Okay. Any specific words you want to relate to that number? Okay. No, that's great. Like I said, there is no right or wrong answer. This is all personally geared towards you. Okay. Next, I'm going to do a bit of face palpation. So, you might have had this done during a general checkup, where your doctor would just touch different parts of your face just to make sure the structure of your face is all right, that there's nothing to be concerned about. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Okay, great. So a lot of people can find the gentle touch of an exam like that to be very relaxing, and in turn to help combat that anxiety, okay? So is it okay if I touch your face? Good. I am going to pop on some gloves. Do you have any spots that are tender or anything that I should avoid? Okay. Like I said, it's going to be very gentle touches, just really working to relax and calm you down. Yep. Just a little pretend exam, if you will. Okay? Good. Okay. So, you ready? Just gonna touch your forehead. Your temples. Down your nose. Gentle touches. Cheeks. Chin. Just delicately around your eyes. Don't want to poke you. To your heart and your lungs once more. It's very repetitive. Okay. Okay, and let me see that wrist of yours. Thank you much. Okay. Perfect. How did we feel about face palpation, face touching, personal attention, whatever you choose to call the trigger? What do we think? Okay. And where is your rating at for our scale 1 through 10 for how your anxiety is feeling? Okay. And are there any specific words you want to relate to that number and that specific trigger? Okay. So I have one last trigger for you, and I will have you close your eyes for this one, if you're comfortable with that, of course. This one is really going to be geared towards sound, and I'm actually going to be whispering some words back and forth between your ears, okay? That sound alright? Okay. So if you just want to sit back, relax, and close your eyes. Good. So now, as I said, I'm just going to go ahead, whisper some words for you, and just see if that can help calm you down. Relax. Restful, restful, restful. Escape, escape, escape. Free, free, free. Palpate, palpate, palpate. Sleep, 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 sleep. Dreams, dreams. Happy, 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 happy. Bright, 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 bright. Warm, warm. Cozy, 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 cozy. Restful, calming, relaxed, relaxed. Waves, waves, ocean waves, in loud, ocean waves, in loud, out, 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 out. Sleeping dreams, 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 dreams. Alright, go ahead and open your eyes for me. Okay. Go ahead, listen. You doing okay? Good. Okay. Pulse. Last time. Thank you. Okay. So what did we think of that last trigger? Whispering, ear-to-ear whispering. Well, sometimes it's hit or miss. Some people really enjoy the sound of a whisper. Some people really don't care for it. So, okay, of course. And where would you rate your level? 1 through 10. Where would you rate your anxiety level right now after that particular trigger? Good. And any words to associate with how you're feeling, that level, that trigger? Okay. Good. Okay. So, just looking over some of your vitals, how you've rated your session today, and your reaction to the triggers. It does look like some of these techniques have helped to calm you down a bit. Now, of course, it's not going to be a complete cure for you, but we are moving into the correct steps, right? Ways to simmer down, calm down that pesky anxiety, which is what we want. Okay, so basically we can add it to your file here, all of our notes. You personally can see some triggers and steps that can help to improve your anxiety levels, of course. And then as we continue to work together, we can really pinpoint negative triggers that could make things worse, and more importantly, the positive triggers that can make you feel so much better. Yeah, I really do appreciate you coming in. It looks like you're going to be fantastic for this program. Yeah. Did you have an enjoyable experience today with my colleague and I? Good. That is what we like to hear. And you look so much more relaxed. Perfect. Well, it was very nice meeting you. Yes. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.